Recording.
Okay, good morning, everybody. We are in for such a treat this morning. Today is Wednesday, October 18th, I'm pretty sure. I'm in my car on my mom life drive to school here with my kids, and I am just so excited to introduce my dear friend, Nome McBride. He's going to be leading the call today. Nome is an incredible herbalist. He has been working in the field for many years. He's got just such deep knowledge and an amazing background, and he's someone who's going to really be able to support us to get more deeper understanding of the products and everything that Purium offers in that level. So Nome, I'm super stoked that you're here. Thank you so much for leading and take it
away. Thanks, Sarah. Sounds like maybe time to go. So thank you so much and for having me and for the introduction. And I see many of you I have spoken to in one capacity or the other before, but a lot of new faces as well. So greetings and welcome. And I hope everyone's having a wonderful Wednesday so far. For those of you just starting your day or moving on. Excuse me. So I'm Nome McBride, and I'm just delighted to be here today. And we're going to talk about products today, about product quality, and just some different ideas regarding products and how we can use them to build the business. And also how we can really rely on knowing the quality of these products, which is going to help build our confidence in those 7 areas of belief that are so ever important. And I want to give you some of my story today. For those of you, many people out there I know are into health and nutrition, but to know if this is a really good product takes a lot of experience. And so I just want to give you a little bit of my story to begin with, about my experience with herbs, nutritional products, supplements in this industry. And kind of the main things today I would like to accomplish is really emphasizing the importance of using your upline story. So building and continuing to build your own story and your own why about why you're here. Why did you wake up this morning and even get on this call? What drove you to do that? And the why of why you're here with Purium, why you want to increase your nutrition, why you want to save, make the world a better place. Whatever it is, that why and your story together is probably the most powerful thing especially when they become a complete package. But in the meantime, for those of you who are newer here, or newer in your journey with your own health, or for a variety of reasons, and even if you have your own really strong story, it never hurts to have in your tool bag, really solid in your heart and in your mind, the story of your sideline, your upline, because a different story is going to relate to everybody a little bit differently. And I know Grace did the mastermind last week on the power of stories, so I don't really want to focus so much on that. You should maybe go back and watch hers if you'd like. But for today, I just want to tell you more about my story about the products, because it is one of my stronger parts of my story, simply because of my history and experience. And it's something you can really hopefully use to build your confidence in the quality that I've found here. If you just see these Post-it notes and how do you know if these are good Post-it notes? Well, you don't until you use ones that have really crappy glue and don't stick to anything. Then you would realize these ones have good glue and they're good, or if these stick and they don't stick, and then there's another one that has better glue or whatever, right? So it takes using a medium one, a really good one, and a bad one before you know sometimes what the quality of something actually is. On the first exposure to something, there's just really no way to know what the quality of something is. So, just a second here. Luckily for me and for you now, I've seen lots of herbs in my day. So, and for me, it's been easy to tell just right off the bat the quality here. Okay, so since about 2002, really, just a little of my personal path for those of you that haven't heard, and maybe a different take for some of you that have. Since about 2002 or so, I've been on a path where plants have been everything I've done, my lifestyle, my income, everything that supports me has been related to medicinal plants. for about 15 years, or even a little bit more. Now, in that time, I have grown farms, organic farms of herbs. One point at the peak, I grew up to 15 acres, which is still a very small farm, of organic herbs. We grew over 150 species on that farm. I've also brokered hundreds of species and thousands and 20s and 30s of thousands of pounds of herbs from all over the world, including many of the herbs in the products that we have here at Purium. And I've also wild harvested herbs for over 10 years, this whole 15 years, and run crews of people out in the national forests or on private lands, of course with permits and permission, but out there harvesting plants in the wild, just picking them off the trees or off the plants or digging the roots. And in that time, I've been able to experience, a variety of qualities, of cuts, of seeing how a really potent, healthy plant, when harvested, how if it's handled incorrectly after it's harvested, the post-harvest handling can make the final product a very poor final product. And a medium grade herb with exceptional post-harvest handling can actually end up with a much more potent and vital final product. So there's a lot of factors I know that go into what actually ends up in the products that we get at the end of the day, right here in our house, in our cup, in our body. And I've been able to see all these different levels and trained through experience and even through actual training of how to tell when an herb is good, simply by looking at it or tasting it. So I've done this for many years. As far as products, businesses, I've ran a whole warehouse. I've manufactured products. I've formulated for many companies. And I teach at the Naturopathic College here in Portland, NCNM, and also at Bastyr in Seattle for over 10 years each now on about herbs and adjunct botany. And so all this put together, even the products that my own company had been making, I felt were some of the top level products of the herbal extracts of the type they were. They were liquid extracts, something we don't have that much of here at Purium. But even when I tried Purium, it was basically the first time where I'd actually tried something that impressed me even more than the herbs I had been making myself. In the history of my career as a supplier to the herbal industry, I was actually surprised when I came to Purium that I had never supplied them with raw ingredients. Somebody just jumped on, and if I got you there, make sure you're on mute, thanks. And a lot of the other extract companies, supplement companies, places that you can see at the shelf, I have supplied them with some of their herb and have developed a reputation for being one of the providers of the highest quality raw ingredients in the country, in North America, especially of wild crafted botanicals, things just gathered from the wild. Has really been my bread and butter, more than even the growing ever was, because 15 acres is very small for a farm. On a commercial level, that's very tiny. So in any case, when I first tried Purium, so just for those of you that don't know, I actually have been using Purium for about a year, kind of on and off, and I've only been here with promoting the company since September, working as a partner. And so I would have come on earlier, but maybe energetically I wasn't ready. I'm working to close that other business because I think that this path is actually a more helpful path to the people I want to serve, and also has the potential to allow me to do better for myself financially than even the business that I owned. And so that's been an unforeseen but very blessed transition for me, for which I'm very grateful. But I had one of my naturopathic students give me some product that was left at their house by a roommate who had just graduated and moved out. And then they graduated and were moving out as well. And so they were just like, hey, if you would use this, why don't you take all this? They gave me a whole bunch of stuff in a box from when they moved out. This was about a year ago. So I was just out of my other products. I was using some of the other main products we've probably all tried. And I was just about out anyway. It was perfect timing. I generally would make a smoothie every day, at least 5 days a week, let's say. And so I went ahead and I tried the Purium, and I was making it in a smoothie in my blender, but it was apparent to me within the first jar, within the first drink, that that was what I would be using from then on. And that it was obviously much better in flavor, in potency, in texture, than anything else I had tried, which has been nearly, if not all, of the organic brands and most of the varieties thereof, the protein variety, the vanilla protein, the Energizer variety. I've tried so many things in my day, whether it was something I bought or being at a trade show and just getting the samples or trying them at their booths or whatever. It took me only 1 or 2 drinks to realize that the quality here on a professional level, simply as a professional herbalist, was just far better than anything I had done. So the other thing that was the real telltale sign for me was that I have a 9-year-old son, and I've given him the variation of all of these powders, trying to get him to take them. And here I am on try number 6,457. Blueberry smoothie for a 9-year-old. Let's see if he'll drink it. Okay, so I'd send him to the room with it, and usually here he comes in 2 minutes. Dad, I don't want it. I can't drink it. It's too gritty or whatever, right? So, so I send him with the one with Purium in it. Here he comes in 2 minutes. He's already back in 2 minutes. And here he is. Here he comes walking out of his room with the cup in front of him. I'm like, oof, another failure for Dad. Bummer. And I look at the cup. It's all got the shake on the side, so it looks full. And he just says, Dad, it's gone. Give me another one. First time that ever happened. Did he even really drink it, let alone ask for another one? That was remarkable, at least. That deserves some kind of notation in the history books or something. So, I was like, well, it's gone. I had drank the rest already myself or whatever. So I made another one and gave it to him, right? And I figured out that he loves Purium. So if nothing else for that, I would continue. But it had already become apparent to me just based on the flavor, the texture. And also I could tell professionally that when I tried the product, the way the herbs were processed and handled post-harvest, which is by far the most important part of any supplement or herb product, is the post-harvest processing. There's a lot of emphasis on the organic growing and all these things, because that's a broader concept that the general person's going to understand. Yeah, it's good to be organically grown and all these. They don't know about how herbs are dried. They don't understand how the individual processes of the way juices get dried necessarily, how the company does this. Like, I can see in my head the machinery and exactly what they do, because that's the kind of thing that I have myself and I know how to use. So when I tried the product, I could tell that the way that they harvest, or the way that they handle the herbs post-harvest, and the system with which they are actually making the product must be a profound system that was highly elevated above anything I had even seen in any other product. Now, knowing what I know about the way that the product is dried, especially below 80 degrees, which is overkill, more than needs to be done to be considered raw, which would be 108 or 110 commercially. The way that the juices are made fresh and then they're dried as a liquid. I can go on and on about the exact process, but the reality is that they're doing it the very best way that is possible with the highest level of technology from everything I know as well. And it's apparent when you see the product in the bottle and you feel it in your body. So just back to my story. So I tried this, and my son loved it. I thought it was great, right? I kept using the products. It was about 5 months, maybe 6 months total. I wasn't taking the full doses. I had a bunch of Love Shake. I had some spirulina that had been given to me. And mostly I was mixing it into smoothies. It had never even occurred to me that it would be possible to make it any other way, because I've never been able to make a powder any way but in the blender, as probably most of us, that's probably was the story for a lot of us before we came to Purium. being able to just put something in a bottle and shake it had never occurred to me. So I ran out eventually, sometime around this June, July. Life got busy. I was in the forest picking herbs, which is probably, I really would have loved having it then, but I didn't. And I was out in the forest for about 2-3 weeks straight for my other business, harvesting herbs in the wild. Had a great time. Almost got burned out of the forest when there was a bunch of fires. It was very exciting. And so I came home one night at 2 a.m. full of energy. And I realized for sure I was going to close my other business. And I got on Facebook, I think, to check a message right before I went to bed. It was like 2 to 3 a.m. and late nights in the woods. And somehow I got on to Sarah Rhinelander's video of how to make your personal business vision plan for the month. And didn't have anything to do with Purium. It was on her personal page. And I was there and I was watching it thinking, this is exactly what I need to do to close my other business and kind of move on in life. I'm going to do this method. This woman seems successful and this is a great plan and I'm totally going to go for this. So I started actually doing it and ended up PMing her a couple questions about it because I was really getting into this vision plan thing. And then I realized that, oh yeah, she's a friend of an old friend of mine. And, we'd already been friends on Facebook for a couple years. I never really chatted much. And I saw, oh yeah, she's somehow does something with that Purium. Because what had happened back in July was I went to Whole Foods and I went to our local kind of bigger organic grocery and a couple of places that I thought I could probably buy Purium. Because I had no idea you could be a brand partner the whole time. I was just happily using it, no idea. I could tell as a professional herbalist that it was by far the best, but I had no idea that you could do anything but just buy it. So actually, I went to try to buy some sometime around in August and realized that you couldn't buy it. And then I don't know if it had even occurred to me that it was because it was available only through partners in the website, or I don't know. I just kind of let it go for a minute. And actually, I did pick up a little bit of some of my old stuff, an old protein powder and an old greens powder, and I thought, well, it's okay. I'll just use these. Well, I tried about one more smoothie of those, and those are still sitting in my cabinet with the bottles I bought back in early August, minus one scoop for that one smoothie, and I'm not convinced they will ever have another scoop taken out of them. At least by me. I'm probably going to give them to somebody else, which I don't even want to do because I'd rather give them Purium. So I don't know where they're going to go. Maybe there's going to be a really lucky dog somewhere that's going to eat them, one of my friends. But the point is I never went back after going to Purium for that long. You just know going back, you just can't do that to yourself. So I had to figure out, how do I get Purium? And I noticed, oh yeah, Sarah does something with Purium. I'm going to see if I can get it from her. So I asked her, hey, this is all great about the business plan, but, is there a way for me to order this Purium from you? And she's like, no, what do you mean order Purium? And I was like, yeah, I just want to get more. I've been using it. She's like, you've been using it? And she's like, you don't know what the deal is? And I'm like, what deal? I don't know. I just need to get it. And she's like, oh, no. I need to help you. Let me tell you what the deal is, And I'm like, okay, tell me what the deal is. So she tells me what the deal is. And by the time she's done, I'm like, wait a minute. You're telling me that I can get the same, I can get Purium, which is what I had found was the same thing that I had already been buying at the store. But instead of buying 4, 5, 6, 7 individual ingredients, all of which when you buy the container you have to buy of them to get them at all, definitely costs a lot more money than one bottle of Purium a month costs. And maybe you get a 2-month supply, but you're into $400 of $50 bottles to make the combo that I used to make. So you're telling me I can spend less up front. I can get a product that has the same herbs in it as everything else that I used to blend all on its own, except for they're already blended in one bottle. And to me, in the Love Shake, it was almost exactly the individual herbs that I was blending on their own, almost down to the T. And not only are they already blended in one bottle, in almost nearly, as far as I can tell, the exact same formulation that I would have made and recommended, but the individual quality and the post-harvest handling of the herbs in the bottle are obviously better than any of the other products you can buy. And now when I tell my friends about it, instead of telling them 5 or 6 things they don't have the money to buy that is too confusing and they didn't write down and in reality will never go do for themselves, and then they simply won't take it, they can actually, they can handle this level of commitment of only getting one thing, and they'll actually get it and do it. And not only will they actually get it shipped to them and get it in their hands, but when they get it at their house, they won't realize, oh, I don't own a $400 blender, and so I can't even blend this stuff up to make it taste right anyway, because all they have to do is dump it into their jar. Just another way that they're going to actually do it. Because my experience had been that I would tell people about things they would ask me for information on, but in reality, very few people would go and do the long, complicated list of things that I asked them to, and then blend it every morning if they had the blender, and then clean the blender, and all this became a nuisance. And in the end, my friends were not helping themselves eating the superfoods that I just simply wanted to see them eat so they could feel better, and that they truly wanted. But if it's not something that is administrable, attainable for people to actually do, then they're not going to get any benefit. So you're telling me that people will actually get this and do it, and then instead of going to the store and taking more time to buy other things and then bringing them home and having a mess on the counter and blending it for 15 minutes, you just hit a button, it ships to my house, I dump it in a jar, and in 20 seconds it's ready? And then it tastes better with a better texture? And you're telling me that instead of us both going to the store and spending our money on whatever that goes to a business where some guy just keeps all of our money, and if you and I tell our friends they just keep all of our money and all of our money again, that not only does it ship straight to my house, but when I tell my friends and they actually do it, we're all going to get paid for it now? So it's like, yep, that's what I said. And I said, okay, give me the biggest possible package that you can sell me. I'm ready. Because I would be remiss to not put my money into this and go tomorrow to the store and buy something that I don't like as well, that isn't as good, that gives all my money away, that I can't recommend to my friends because it's too complicated and they wouldn't do. So it seems like knowing that information, there was really nothing left to do but just do it. So I went all in, and that was that. And that was September 6th. And I set my mind to it. And as many of you know, rocked it all the way to diamond in 25 days. So anything is possible. Apparently that was the fastest ever. I didn't know that when I started. I just thought I can do this, set my mind to it, and did it with no comparison to what anyone else had ever done. I had no idea that was the fastest. That was just simply what I did. So one thing here, so that's kind of my story about how I got to here, and then now here we are today. Obviously in my history of my other businesses, I have a number of other businesses all related to health and derivatives of the health industry. But within the products, I had the one business that's closing, and now my focus is really here at Purium with these products. One thing that I've seen in my history here, and then we're going to move on here in just a minute from this topic, is that, some people needed some herbs sometimes, but everyone needed more nutrition all the time. Whether I was at a naturopathic school, whether I was teaching at an herbal conference, whether I was with a group of people in the forest on an herb walk, whether I was with my own crew picking roots all day up in the rain in the mountains, whether I was with my parents, whether I was in the jungle with people deep in spiritual retreats, no matter where I went, if everybody would have had a little more nutrition all the time, they would have been doing better at whatever I was doing with them. They would have been more on their game. They would have been getting more out of life. They would have been able to integrate and process and up-level their life continually over and over with more ease and more enjoyment. And so I didn't feel that I was really offering that in any of my offerings or recommendations. And Purium is a great way to give everybody everywhere a little more nutrition all the time. And that is going to accentuate their good points. That is going to help them to strengthen their weaknesses in their physical body, and here at Purium in their financial person, and all of their dimensions. And when they all come together and harmonize and all begin to elevate together, that's when life becomes a lot more fun. That's what we call success for many of us. And when we have more success than we even need for ourselves, then we have abundance. So we can be as successful as possible and have extra to share. And I see that in Purium, we have a pathway to go to abundance, even beyond our own success. Okay, so that's a little of my story. check out Grace's mastermind again, like I said, on storytelling and the power of the story. But feel free to use my story, right? You didn't do what I just did for the last 10 years, so you can't say you did. But what you can say is, someone says, well, how good are these? You can say, well, use my story freely. Drop my name if you want. It's all good. I'm giving you the permission right now to just go for that. And you can say, I've really noticed that these are great out of all the products I've tried. But there's a guy who came on recently, and he's been supplying the herbal industry and a lot of other manufacturers for over a decade. He obviously knows what he's talking about herbs and the quality, and has been inside the industry for quite a long time. And he actually just sold one of his businesses and came into Purium with all of his attention based really solely on the quality of the products that when he tried Purium. He didn't even know that he could be a partner for almost a half of a year. And he just loved the products. And when he found out, he instantly came on because the opportunity is so incredible and so mind-blowingly lucrative to be a brand partner. And this is where the best products that you can simply buy are at. And so you don't have to take my word for it, but you can take his word for it, and then you could show them this video. Well, maybe not if they're in a prospect, but once they come on, and we're working on some other videos as well. But so you can share my story, and whatever part of it would resonate for you, feel free. And just a little side note on stories, of course, make sure you know your upline story, whoever that is, for sure. And make sure you know a few layers up in your uplines. If you've got a diamond or a crown in your upline, you really need to know their story like the back of your hand. Your story's on one hand and theirs is on the other. Because if I'm talking to someone who doesn't care about product quality and, is coming at it from a different approach, even my own story is no good to them. I'll tell them Sarah's story. Right? So I'm just offering mine as another one of the many tools that you can put into your toolbox. Okay, so let's see. Let's move on to the next topic. Yes, I do not have my story in Shift to Wealth, but I am working on that. And I've also been not fully public yet with my Purium presence because I am still closing that other business. And there actually would be a little bit of conflict of interest there potentially. As I'm currently negotiating a sale of that business. Once that is completed, you will all be seeing me go much more public in a variety of platforms, formats, and arenas with my Purium experience. And I'm looking forward to that very much so. But all things are about timing. And so we're waiting on the perfect timing to bring that in. In the meantime, we all get to hang out back here in the Zoom. Okay, so let's see. Let's move on. What was the next thing we want to talk about? The next thing is I want to mention on before we open it up. So, to me, what I see here, just to sum that up, is we've got the best products you can get on my personal advice. If that was all this was, I'd still be totally behind it and telling everyone about it. I was already doing that. The fact that it's coupled with the values and the mission of the plan of the company of Purium to actually literally save the earth one square inch at a time by converting farms to organic farms, and then coupled with the new wave 2 and the upgrades and the facility, the processes, the equipment, I'm sure, the marketing program, and then of course the compensation plan. I just don't see how you could not be aligned with this if you want to eat superfoods, and everyone could use a second income stream, a second stream of income. Okay, so there's kind of my summary. Now, what I've realized is that especially with this new model of the customer track, let's talk about this for a minute. Just a second here. Okay, so within the customer track, we've got this new, the new idea of the 1K, 2K, 3K. I'm pretty sure that it goes on and on. Sarah and I think it goes on and on. Like for every 1,000, you just get $250 forever. If you got 100,000, you'd get 100 times 250 or whatever, right? So that is a very great deal for us. And what I'm realizing too is that, there's been some talk in the masterminds about really getting your customers base as large as you can. And so I want to talk a little bit about how products and knowledge of some additional products outside of the core 3 and the 10-day are going to allow us to increase our volume from the existing amount of customers we have. And so on one hand, while we're building up more customers in numbers and quantity, and people are ordering core threes every month, another thing we can look at is, especially with customers that we're able to track and follow and communicate with, and I'm not going to go into super detail on a lot of methods right now, but just to bring this idea up, is that what I try to do every month, and my challenge here, my action step for everybody on this call is going to be, at least on the first of next month, when you make your first of the month order, if not today, I really will recommend that you get every month one product you've never got before, and just try it and see what it's like. Something you're interested in, but that you've never got. Even if you don't know that you're going to take it for yourself for months and months, just so you've tasted it. Just so you can say, oh, that tastes really fruity or whatever. Or, it's going to be hard to talk about it at all if you've never tried it. And if you're talking to someone and you can say, yeah, well, even though, the anti-aging line isn't really what I need, I tried all those smoothies just to see what they taste like, and they're great. That will impress people that you actually tried them. And if you don't need them, you can always save them and give them away as samples, right? I've given away over 2 core threes at least in the last month and a half as samples. And a number of those people have come back to launch because I gave them 4 days of samples that I just paid for. So giving things away is a really nice gift. With a $50 gift card now for a customer, that will all pay for itself in the end. But what I've been seeing is that especially when I'm on a Zoom call with somebody, I've got the opportunity to get them a core 3 and a 10-day and a biomedic. And, there's the idea of the packages that some people have learned about. When I'm enrolling someone, especially if they're going to go for a launch, I never mentioned that there was even 2 other packages available. There's only a launch. The way to get in the business is $500, and this is what you get. I don't even mention anything else. And that comes with a package of a biomedic, a core 3, and a 10-day transformation, and it's $845 or whatever it is. All those added up together. It's 500 plus 150, 650, 750, 855. Yeah, it's exactly $900 plus shipping for all those products I just said. And that's what it is. So, that's the best thing we recommend. And let me know if you're ready to do that. And then, if a lot of people will just say, great, that's what I get. Okay, sign me up. Boom, 900, right? If you break it all down, then they want to get one thing later or whatever. If you just say, this is what it is, then that's what it is. They can say, well, can I get later? They'll say, oh, well, I can get these individually. You say, well, you can, but to get the full experience, so you build your story and you can really share at the end of your first month really strongly. You really want to get the core 3. You want to go through a 10-day, and everyone needs to be on the biomedic. So this is going to be, in fact, the most cost-effective way for you to really start your business is to go ahead and get the full package of the 900. So phrasing it like that is one way to get people to make sure they get those base level right off the bat. You can use similar phrasing when you talk about customers talking to someone about getting a core 3 and a biomedic. I've been saying this a few times, instead of saying, yeah, if you get just $75, you can get 50 off. I'll say, yeah, there's a $50 off coupon. Our flagship product, the core 3, is normally $150, so you can get it for only $100 with this coupon. And I'm just pointing them straight at the core 3, and 50 off 150 sounds great still. So I encourage them to get just 75 so they can barely use the coupon, when you can get them into a product, a series of products that if they use for the month are going to give them a much bigger experience about what Purium is and what it can do for them, and have them be much more likely to continue in the future months than if they just try the cheapest thing they can get to use the coupon. And $100 for 150 a product, or really $199 or whatever it is retail, sounds great to most people. If you can accentuate and tell them that's only going to be $100 for you, and at retail it would have been whatever, this is a huge discount. And so people are super excited and grateful that they're going to even get that discount. And so it's okay to guide people to something is going to help them the most, that is going to give them the best experience, that's going to want them to come back, where they're going to be excited for next month's shipment to come and to use it. And that will be the best thing for them, and that will be the best thing as well for you, for your continued smart orders. And the more they start having great experiences, then the more likely they are to branch out. Now, especially if you're on a Zoom call with someone or doing a consult or a phone call, or even on a text message stream, there's a key moment where they've said, okay, I'm going to get a launch pack and a core 3 and a biomedic. Okay. Or they're a customer and they're like, yeah, okay, I'm going to get this and this. And there's a phrase you can say that I've been using really well. I did say have them get a launch pack, a core 3, and a biomedic. That's the minimum thing that I tell people about when I'm doing a launch pack. That's what I tell them it is. I tell them it's a launch pack, a core 3, and a biomedic. That's what you get. If you want to get the experience and come in as a partner and really know what you need to know, that's what you do. If when we get to the final moment, they can't afford it, I'll say, well, you can break it down and let's get you the launch pack now. Okay, one tip of advice is if you're going to sell a launch pack, sell a launch pack. Never do anything to not sell a launch pack. Don't let them get the products in the launch pack later. Don't tell them you will, if you forget the code of your person you're going to enroll them under your downline, don't tell them I'll call you back later and we'll finish your enrollment once I have the code. Just enroll them, get the code and call customer service and then put them under your thing. Never get off the line with someone who's in the process of buying a launch pack ever. That would be the last thing you ever would want to do. I did that once and I will never do that again. Luckily, they came back and got a launch pack, but if they hadn't have, I would never have forgotten that moment. Never stop a call when someone is currently buying a launch pack for any reason. Everything can be fixed by calling customer service later. Just get them done with the launch pack. But in any case, yeah, Core 3 is $199 retail. There you go, and $149 after the discount. And perfect. Okay, so yeah, you can compare the price. So in any case, what was I going to say here? So there's a place where they've kind of made their mind up. But right here is your moment of opportunity. The exact phrasing that I kind of gleaned off Sarah is what I like to say is there any other part of your health that you're working on right now? Is there any part of your nutrition you'd like to really ramp up? Is there a specific part of your personal health you're focusing on right now? Or is there another part of your body you'd really like to work on? And this is going to give them an opportunity to say, you know, actually, yeah, my joints are really hurting and all this. And they're going to tell you more of their story. Sit back, drink some tea, listen for 5 to 20 more minutes about whatever that leads to. And then if you are familiar with some of these other products, you can say, you know, what you're saying to me really sounds like there's another product that would be really good for you to get. It's the Revive-It-All. I think that this is going to add a lot to the other products. And having the nutrition of the Core 3 is going to give your body enough power, enough nutrients to actually be able to work on more healing than normal. And you'll actually really be able to utilize another formula with this much nutrition and have it be very effective for you, especially versus if you just took it on its own. And I'd like to just get you started on it right away. Would you be able to just add it into this order? And a lot of people say, okay, well, yeah, I'll just go ahead and get that, you know, and that helps you out on your bottom line. And the more products that people get that are actually going to work for them, the better it's going to be. Okay. So as we are growing our customers, that's great. But on the other hand, if we can get the customers that we do get to all get more types of products each month, then that will help more of us to get into those 1K, 2K, 3K clubs off the existing amount of work we've done. So it's almost like leveraging our customers within the fact that this is leveraged income. We're double leveraging going into a more depth of purchases per person. And so the more familiar you are with other products besides the Core 3 and the 10-day and the Biomedic, the more you can help direct them to them, the more you can do post-sales and follow up and say, hey, I was thinking about you. This could be a great product. You could say, just make a blanket post or whatever, or email blast or whatever your thing is, Instagram. You know, this month I've been using cacao mint spirulina. This stuff rocks. Try some out or whatever. But, you know, really like staying on, add some new products into people's perspective, into their awareness, and you'll see that they'll begin to try them. Now, I just want to reiterate what I really want to ask for everybody. The action step here is get a product you haven't tried between now and the end of the month, or at the very latest on your first of the month order next month, and get familiar with something that you want to use that you haven't tried. And that's going to just be one more thing that you're very familiar with to recommend. And also start trying to add that line in of, is there anything else in your own health you want to work on? And see if you can't even get people psyched that you know a little more about some of the products, and and get them going. And then you can say, well, let's just start you even on 1 or 2 of these that you can get today in the anti-aging line. Let's do the Revive It All. And there's about 5 or 6 other products in this line that would all be really great for you. So once you get comfortable with these products and see how much they're going to benefit you, then let's talk again, and we can get you going on a couple of the other ones as well. And just plant that seed right off the bat that there's going to be more coming, and there's going to be an endless amount of variations they can try as their healing journey progresses. And we just start out with that mentality, and we'll end up with that mentality. So always starting with the end in mind. Okay, so on that, let's open this up a little bit. You can just feel free to jump in. I would like to hear stories about your product successes, about kind of interesting things about products, and about quality successes that you've had where you really realize the quality, like you tried it compared to another product, or ways that you share about the quality, specifically not about Core 3 and 10-day transformations, other products. So I'm just going to open it up. Just feel free to unmute and come on down.
Hi.
Hey, Annette.
So I'm on the bio skincare, and I have had acne since I was born. And it's working. It's clearing up my acne, especially on my chin, like my really oily areas. So yeah, that was my last month's order for new products, and I'm loving it. I'll be sticking to it. And it's a really nice moisturizer. It's not overly oily. It doesn't make you shiny or look like you're dirty. Some moisturizers will make you look a little oily. And the serum you use just on your actual wrinkled areas, and it's kind of like medicine right to the area that you need it. So I'm really impressed with that, and I'm going to keep ordering it. I'm going to get my teenage daughter to using it because I think it's better than what she's using now. And yeah, so there's my new product story. I ordered the Athletes Pack coming up here right away, so I'll let you guys know how that works.
Nice. So the bio products, yeah. If you guys have used them, you can type a 1 in. Let's see. If you haven't, type a 2, and let's just see how many people are actually using them. I haven't used any of them, and I was thinking that for anyone, all my family, those are going to be the Christmas gifts, the BioCare line, So start thinking ahead. Christmas is coming. You can recommend to people, hey, I see you're getting a Core 3 today. These BioCares are great holiday gifts. Have you ever thought about that? Maybe even being able to get people things that there's not even for them. Just let them get them as gifts. Okay, anybody else? What else have we tried?
I want to move on with the BioCare too, with the Regen. I just have to say, this is super quick. I don't do the BioCare. What's that?
This is Grace. I don't see you, but I hear you.
Yep. No, it's Grace.
I know your voice. I love it.
Thank you. So the Regen, the first time that I took these, I'm not even kidding you guys, 2 days, I could see, like, my face was so supple. Like, I felt like I got water, like there was just more moisture, more water, like the little things under my eyes. I mean, to the point where it freaked me out how responsive it was. And I do want to say something about the bio skincare is that I started using it and my skin got very dry and started to kind of slough off. And I didn't actually understand that was part of the healing process. And I stopped using it. But then as I checked in with people, it was like, well, yeah, that is one of the things that happens. And it's like, the dead skin is actually like, sloughing off and leaving. So if you start the bio skincare and that happens, just know that is a part of the healing. And on the other side, it's really incredible. But the Regen specifically is awesome. Thanks.
Mm-hmm. Really good tip there. Yeah. That's another thing is that a lot of our products are going to lead to healing. Even just a Core 3 for a week can lead to some gentle cleansing. It's really good to know what those, what could be coming up for some people, what they may go through and experience that could seem like something is not right, but actually is the perfect progression of the healing. So the more familiar we are like that, I wouldn't have even thought of that. Thank you so much, Grace. But, being aware of those with each product, you're going to be able to instill a lot of confidence in them in the people who are asking you, hey, you know, I got this, but my skin's peeling off, say, oh yeah, well, that's great. That means it's totally working for you. Just hang in there and keep going a couple more weeks. And you're really going to see the benefits after that. This is perfect. You know, if that's your first reaction to that question versus, oh, really? Oh, that could be bad. Oh, I don't know. I better ask. You know, now they're freaked out and they may not even use it if you tell them to again, right? So always instill confidence. Always say, yes, I will get the answer if I don't know it. But the more we actually do know what's coming ahead for them, you can even, you know, in saying, hey, you know, this may lead to this, but this is the sign that it's all working. And once you go through that phase, your skin's gonna really clear up. It's gonna be great. So thank you for that, Grace, for sure. Anybody have something? Deborah?
Yeah, I
go
wanted
ahead.
to say thank you. Thank you so much. Awesome call, awesome information. And I notice having, like, I like to have 3 of the shake mixes on hand, both the appleberry power shake, the vanilla chai shake, and the chocolate, you know, MVP shake, because I like mixing them. So I mix like half power shake, half vanilla chai, because the vanilla chai will give us more protein, and yet the appleberry power shake has the greens and even more flavor, I feel. And I love, it's a real treat to put the chocolate MVP, the sport shake, in with them. So it's fun to mix them and have all 3. And I also love the Revive It All, the Super Life formula, and everything else that people have mentioned. Thank you.
Thank you, Deborah. And a good point here, even kind of back onto the idea of the core 3, is that whenever I'm going through on a Zoom with someone that I've launched especially, and they're picking out their first order products, you know, it'll come to a moment for a lot of us where we're looking at the core 3 and when they're asking and we're deciding about, should you go power shake or should you go love shake? And what I do now is I just say, you know, the core 3 comes with the power shake because that's the way it is right now on the website. They don't need to know what it used to be and all the variations. They need to know what it is today. That's all the information they need, because that's what it is. This is what it is. Go ahead and get that. Now, what most people, including myself, do is we love it so much that we want 2 shakes a day. And also starting out, you're going to want to try as many types of our products as you can, because you may love power shake, but your husband may love shake. And the person you want to share it to may like both. So if you have both on hand, you can sample more freely. And if you take 2 a day, which you may find you like, especially if you want to get more protein, that you know, what I recommend and what a lot of people really do is they just add a love shake on top of the core 3. And that way you don't run out and you can switch back and forth. You can mix them and just see what you really like the best. I'd hate to have you get core 3 for 4 months with power shake just to find out later that you liked love shake better. So what I recommend you do on your first order is, in addition to all this other stuff that we just talked about that you should actually get 1 more love shake in addition to that core 3 with the power shake, so that you know right away and you don't spend money on power shake that you wished was on love shake for months. Right? So thank you, Deborah. Yeah, and actually I have the kids, because I have my son, I have the kids chocolate. I mix that with them. Okay, so anybody else?
I would love to just say something real quick, because I know a lot of us work with nursing mamas. So I just wanted to say the organic barley powder really increased my milk supply in a way that was phenomenal. But also I just started the Camus last month, and that bumped it up even more. So those 2 things are super, super good for nursing mamas.
Nice. Thank you so much. And so let's, will you type those in the comments just so everybody gets exactly what that was? We got the Kamut powder and yeah, great. So for milk, for breastfeeding mothers. And I know from my experience in the herbal world, there's a real lack of products in as far as supplements for breastfeeding mothers. You know, I had a tincture business. Tinctures with alcohol are not really great for breastfeeding mothers. I mean, they're not bad for them or harmful for the baby, but they're just, it's not the right administration method to really increase milk flow. You need the herbs themselves. And so actually, yeah, to get the quantity of a product like Purium directly into the body of the exact right herbs, this is going to be an exceptional delivery method. And I think that actually increasing the quantity and the quality of milk flow for those mothers is probably an issue for a lot of mothers. And is if we can all know what some of these products are to recommend, would be the kamut and the barley there is going to be really key. One thing before we go to the next share is I just wanted to mention, for me, the two products I personally have started working with outside of the Core 3 and the 10-day. And I did just do a 10-day. I just ended on Saturday, so that was great. Feeling super good. Was the cocoa mint spirulina. That's pretty much like my snack food now. And I almost ate like an entire bottle of it in the first 2 days when I got it. And I was like, oh my, I called Sarah. I was like, Sarah, I have to slow down. I almost just ate an entire bottle of cocoa mint spirulina back to back to back to back glasses. I'm not even cleaning my thing out in between. I'm just putting more in and filling it up. I'm going to go crazy, you know? So I had to slow myself down on that one. And then the second one I love is the Can't Beat This. And man, that stuff gives you clean energy. Oh my goodness. And I do believe Can't Beat This is potentially, I think it was the best seller. Someone else who's been here longer probably knows. But, you know, if you have no idea, and some people are just generally active people, or they have a family or whatever, and they don't necessarily have a specific health problem they want to address, I'm going to recommend, if somebody says, well, I don't know, what else is there? You know, I'm feeling pretty good, but I'll try something else. You know, instead of saying, well, I don't know, if you're good, let's just get you the Core 3 and check out. No, say, well, what I'd really love for snacks and later at night, if I want a little energy, but it's way too late for caffeine, is the cocoa mint spirulina. Do you like peppermint? This is really good. It's like peppermint hot chocolate. So I recommend that. You know, I say, hey, you know, do you work out, or is your job pretty physical, or do you do any recreation or, you know, physical activity like that? Or are you just like really need to focus all day, even at your desk job? You know, I think this Can't Beat This product would be really great for you. And man, you just feel like zoned in when you're on Can't Beat This. That stuff is incredible. And then the other thing I'll recommend to people, they say, well, I really, you know, some people are really concerned about protein. I think between the super aminos and, you know, if they get Love Shake, that's like a lot of protein. But one thing I'll tell those people to kind of get more product going is I'll say, well, you know, if you want more protein, what you can do is you can take a second dose of aminos after with lunch in the afternoon. And that's what I do. I take 2 doses of aminos a day. If you really want to build your muscles more, do 2 aminos a day. So get your Core 3, get your whatever, and then let's add you on another bottle or 2 of aminos so you never run out. And, you know, if you really want to build your muscle up and work on that, you know, just take a second dose in the afternoon. The other thing I'll tell people who really want more protein, or I've had a couple people say that the Power Shake was too sweet for them, too much stevia, people that are not into stevia, is to go ahead and get a bottle of the bulk plain individual spirulina powder. Spirulina is pretty bitter, but it's sweet enough. But it's much more bitter than stevia or the Power Shake. And spirulina has more protein in it than red meat by the gram, I'll have you know, quite a lot more, in fact. So it's one of the substances on earth with the highest levels of protein available, more than steak in spirulina. Incredible, okay? So you can recommend, if they want more protein, that they add a spirulina and they mix it into their Power Shake. Or if a couple of people that don't love stevia have said, this is just a little sweet for me, well, then just grab a stevia in addition and just dump a little bit in. It's going to give you some more protein, and it's going to make it a little bit less sweet, a little more earthy flavor. You know, so those are some things that I have done already that people have really enjoyed. We got time for a couple more shares. Yeah, spirulina is like pretty much, if you had only spirulina, you would live. That's like all you really would need to just, if that's all you ate, I think you could eat that forever, eternally, and be fine.
Hey, Nome, I got one quick question about the Can't Beat This. And I think you're rocking the pink. I'm rocking the pink, so rock the pink. But I'm curious about the Can't Beat This, because I've noticed since I did the first cleanse, because I do chocolate, I'm a chocolate maker and I work with raw chocolate. Although I've not been doing so much of that lately because I've been focused on this. Thinking about selling my business also. So curious about the caffeine, because I know it's a green coffee bean, which has generally been better for me, but my sensitivity to caffeine, I wake up with a hangover if I have, chocolate. And so I don't know if you can speak to that. Maybe some other people can share about that caffeine level.
The caffeine level of Can't Beat This. It is 20 milligrams per serving, okay? And they recommend you have no more than 4 servings per day, which would be 80. A standard cup of black coffee is usually 50 minimum, okay? Guayusa can be like 100. Mate can be like 80 to 100. And espresso could be like 100 to 150, depending on what type of coffee it is, okay? Mate 110, Rebecca says. There you go. So a quick history lesson on caffeinated plants, of which I'm very familiar with, all of them, love them. Mate, traditionally, historically, has double or more the caffeine than coffee, okay? Can't Beat This has mate. Mate is listed in the ingredient list above coffee. Bean is down at the very end. Most of the caffeine is coming from the mate. Mate has more caffeine than coffee. Okay, some people call it matine. Matine is the name of caffeine within mate. It's exactly the caffeine chemical. It's not something different. The difference of the way that mate and coffee work and make you feel is that coffee, when roasted, is very acidic, and it is overly acidifying to the body, overstimulates bile flows, chemical production, and it is absorbed in a specific type of way. Now, I love coffee, don't get me wrong. Now, on the other hand, mate, it has more vitamins, more minerals, more antioxidants, more flavonoids. And so even though it has more caffeine, the body can absorb it more slowly in a more sustainable way. And the nutrients are also feeding the body with vitamins and minerals that you need, which, because of their absence in the coffee, is why coffee will lead you to have the jitters and the nervousness and all the issues of coffee, is because it's like pure caffeine lacking the vitamins and the synergistic compounds that are in another plant like mate. So mate is really the better form. Now, in the last many decades, because of the worldwide demand for coffee and people's addiction to caffeine, especially the Arabica species of coffee, of which there are many species, has been bred and developed, not genetically modified, but just bred and developed on people's farms to contain more and more and more caffeine. And so Arabica coffee, now grown, contains much more caffeine than it originally did, than it was when it was an heirloom coffee, similar to that of mate, Arabica coffee nowadays. But historically and technically, mate has more. Guayusa, which is another species of the same genus as mate, that some of you have heard of, has even more yet. So the caffeine and Can't Beat This is mostly from the mate. I think that the green coffee bean probably gives a little, but as it's one of the last, or maybe it's even the last ingredient, probably even more as an antioxidant and to just synergize with the mate. I personally would not recommend doing more than they recommend of it. And I would definitely treat 1 scoop of that as a very strong cup of coffee, because not only does it have 20 milligrams, which is not even half a cup of coffees of caffeine, but the synergy of all the herbs, the way that it works, the purity of the product, the fact that it soaks into you so quickly, and just the entire formulation of the product can make 20 milligrams of caffeine feel like 100 because of everything that's going on with the rest of the product. So it leads you to have a lot of power, to be very clear. And actually, I think you can take less caffeine than if you were to just drink mate or coffee and still get that effect. So that's why I think it's really great as far as an energy booster. You can actually have the clarity of 2 cups of coffee with 1/4 of the caffeine because of the effect of the whole formulation. That's been my take on Can't Beat This. But I wouldn't do it after like 6 o'clock at night, or you're not going to go to sleep, because it has caffeine and it's super pure caffeine from the mate, and it works. And you get charged for a while. Yeah, Eleuthero, I mean, everything in there is stimulating besides the caffeine. When you add caffeine to anything else, it accentuates and potentiates the other herbs. So when you're on caffeine and you take other stimulating herbs, they are even more stimulating, right? It's a great formula. Can't Beat This is the product that has mate, yerba mate. All right,
I would love to share.
Yeah, let's get one
Can I
more
jump in
share,
here?
and then we're going to wrap it up.
Aloha. Can I share?
Please do.
Can you
Who do
hear
we
me?
have here?
All
Yeah, we
right.
hear you.
This is Allison.
Oh, there you are.
All
Hey,
right,
Allison.
right on. Hey, this is so ridiculous, Nome. I'm stoked to have you with us. I'm amazed to have you just be this vehicle that I feel like in my heart I've been really wanting, like to really take my belief to the next level. And it kind of brought me to tears when you first came on, because I just gained so much through you and your trust and belief, and I believe your story and all you know, and thank you. And I love the fiber. The fiber, I can't say enough. I sell it every time, and it's really helped with bloating, and it gives me really nice regular BMs, and I feel like it's just really moved the toxins out. Like, I just feel like it's this real integral piece in that. And I've had great feedback from whoever is using it, and anyone over, 50 definitely is benefiting tenfold with this product. So the fiber, and yeah, that's all. I just want, yeah, there was a question, the natural flavors. What can you say about the natural flavors? I'd love to hear on that, because I get so much feedback on that from people concerned.
Sure. Awesome. Thank you so much. Beautiful. And yes, thank you for the acknowledgement and the question. I appreciate that. So yeah, I'll give kind of a quick answer. So I know we're coming to the end, but also, yeah, so the fiber, that's great. That was kind of a topic we haven't heard about. And it just occurred to me, people over 50, like you're saying. And also, I get a lot of people who say, well, I want to do the core 3 and I want to do a 10-day, but I only have money this month for one. And I'm saying, great, you get your launch, get your core 3, and then maybe next month you can add it into your order. Right, there's an opportunity to say, what would get you really ready for the 10-day is let's go ahead and start you on the fiber this month, which is one ingredient of the 10-day, and it's going to slowly work you up, so you're going to get even more out of that 10-day next month. And they'll still get the 10-day next month, but now they just got one more thing this month, right? And then when they're done, you can say, hey, when you're done with that 10-day, you should just go right back into that fiber, and it'll keep the process going for you, making sure that all that elimination really comes out. So one thing that occurred to me is we're talking to people, we're Zooming them, they're getting to the place where they're ready to buy products, and right there we enter the beginning of this arena that we're really talking about today. And it is that arena of there's endless opportunities inside of everything that they say for us to find a way for them to get another product that they're going to love that's going to help their process. About the natural flavors, I'll just comment on this and then we're going to wrap it up. This has been, I've had especially some of my industry people, really drill me really hardcore about the flavorings. And I myself have been looking into the flavorings in depth last month. I spent a moment really on the flavorings. I have received questions about them. So when I dug down, what I found was this. In short, the more I dig, the happier I get. So it's good, all good news. All of our flavorings, nothing in any of the products comes from corn. So there's no corn syrup. Usually when you see natural flavors, it means MSG or it means high fructose corn syrup. If you see natural flavor on a packaging on almost anything, it means high fructose corn syrup. Since these products are all non-GMO, they're not going to be able to come from any corn product at all, because even certified organic corn many times is not able to be certified non-GMO because of drift, because they're open pollinated plants spread by the wind. It's uncontrollable that almost all corn has some GMOs now, unfortunately. So nothing comes from corn or corn syrup. Nothing has MSG, which MSG is used to flavor things that are like fried tasting, not things that are sweet and fruity tasting anyway. So it's kind of the complete wrong use, but some people will freak out that they are, but it's not. I looked into this. I got word from the company back on both of these things. You can look in your resources library in your back office and you can search natural flavors or chocolate flavor kids product or whatever, and it's going to actually tell you whatever they can tell you about it. These flavors only have existed, to my understanding, at Purium for about 4 years. They had no flavors from 1994 until about 3, 4, or 5 years ago at the most, because Dave and Amy were adamantly against any flavors any synthetic ingredients, any artificial processing, any extraction methods that used anything artificial or synthetic, using any of these high fructose corn syrup bases, anything like that, adamantly against them, from what I understand. And they never, ever, ever had them. Now, what they did, and I see a couple hands up, so just so you know, I see that. What they did is they added them a few years ago. And when they did, my understanding is that sales went up considerably, like 3, 4, 5 times within a couple of months. Massive. Because while some of us on the West Coast who take green drinks for 20 years don't care what it tastes like if it's good for us, most people, especially if this is all a new idea, need it to taste good. The word around the streets in the herbal industry right now is that flavor is the new active ingredient. No matter how great it is, if it doesn't taste good, no one's going to take it. People call me all the time and they say, Nome, what's the best way to take herbs? Smoothies, tinctures, capsules, tablets? And my answer is always the same. The way that you will actually take herbs and get them in your body is the best way to take herbs. Not the way I tell you is the best, but the way you actually do it, that's the only way you should do it. That's the best way to do it, because that's how you actually do it. So if it tastes good, people are more likely to do it. So they added them so that they can get out the word and actually help more people. Because without the flavors, there was going to be a limit of the average folks back in Ohio or whatever that were really going to take the product. Now, the flavors themselves come from natural sources. So the chocolate flavor in all the chocolate comes from actual cacao, and it's manufactured in the United States, I believe in Wisconsin. You can look it up in the resources, either Wisconsin or Minnesota. The vanilla, or maybe that's in LA, and then the vanilla is in Wisconsin or Minnesota. The vanilla actually comes from vanilla orchid and is manufactured in the United States. The other flavors are also coming from what they're actually, the raspberry and the apple, from apples. I don't know how they make the caramel one, but they're all coming from a natural source. And I think I'm interested to see if I can some of this production. The flavors are made outside the facility, and the flavors have all been approved for use in certified organic products by the review board at the organic place. Purium designed these flavors proprietary and specially for them. After rejecting any of the other methods for over 20 years, they developed their own line of flavors to use in their own products that meet the high standards that Dave and Amy have set forth. Dave is one of the only guys in the herbal industry I've ever met who is more strict, who's more hardcore, who's more determined to cut no corners, or at least the same even as I am. And I'm very impressed by everything that he does to maintain that integrity and quality, even on the multi-million-dollar level of this company. So that's a little bit about the flavorings. I don't know exactly how they're made, but I have a feeling that they actually put a bunch of cacao in this machine that's called a CO2 extractor, and it pumps carbon dioxide through the herb at a high pressure in a vacuum, and it's actually extracting the terpenes off of the cacao, and then I think that they're putting them into the base of the organic acacia gum. And they don't even use guar gum, which is great. They use acacia, which is from the acacia tree. It's a gel. So, and it's actually anti-cancerous in and of itself, acacia gum, by the way. So it's an incredibly medicinal plant. Even if you just took acacia gum, would be super good for you. So it's not just some crappy filler that they put in there to carry it that's bad for you, and we just accept it because it gets the flavor. Actually, the carrier for the flavor is a medicinal plant that's super powerful and good for you. And it's certified organic. So they have put more care into those flavorings than I've ever seen in any flavor ever. And I feel very good about the sourcing of them, and that there's no compromise in the flavors, and we're just going to accept them so we can sell more product. Actually, no, the flavors are great. They enhance the product. The ingredients are actually from what they're from. The carrier is actually good for you, even if that was all you took. And they're obviously making it possible for us to share the products with a multitude of more people who really need the products. And at the end of the day, even if they were completely terribly sourced flavorings, would you rather have someone have 99% superfoods and 1% bad flavorings, and they actually get superfoods, or not give them any superfoods because they had 1% bad flavorings, and now they just have whatever their bad diet was and no superfoods? And their bad diet is certainly full of red number 4 and yellow number 5 and cancer number 6 and certain death number 8 and everything else that we don't want in Purium. Those are in what everybody eats anyway. So most people don't even care, is what I find. But for those of us that do care, and the people that that are asking us that care, and for me to have a really solid confidence and consciousness promoting the product, it's great to know that the flavoring we have is unparalleled in the industry. It's proprietary to Purium, and it's actually made from organic plants of what the flavors come from. So I feel super strong about it, and you should too. And if you, and anytime anyone asks anything like this that could be a point of concern, I like to respond by, oh, I'm so glad you asked. You know, you're going to love the answer. And just let them know that even though you didn't tell them yet, it's even better than they thought. Let alone, are these bad for you? You're going to be so impressed with this answer. Let me tell you about it. That energy is going to get people excited. Okay, so there might have been a hand or two up, but we're kind of over now. I want to close this off. And yeah, like I said, you can go into that resource library and look up more details right on them. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, so that has been it. This has been Wednesday Mastermind, October 18th, 2017, all about products, utilizing more products to expand our businesses and our group volumes, serve our customers more, and also what we do duplicates and replicates more down the line. So enrolling people, getting them on a bunch of products, showing them how to recommend more products. If everybody you enrolls everybody that way, your group volume is going to grow exponentially faster than it is right now. So let's get everybody started down that road. And appreciate all of the sharing and comments and everybody's presence and smiles. And just been a pleasure. So look forward to seeing everybody next time. And let's all have a great week. We've got the second half of the month coming up. So plenty of time to try more products and get them out there. All right. Cheers, everybody.
Thank you. Awesome. Wonderful call. Thank you, Nome.
Thank you.
Thanks, Noam.
Thanks, Noah.